DigitalPersona software, advanced multi-factor authentication. So let us go through a few slides and then we will switch to the demo. DigitalPersona is a multi-factor authentication solution that is supporting different methods to protect the federation, the applications that are working in the federation, or those that are still using static password credentials. On top of this, radius can be protected with strong authentication, either it's an OTP token or mobile push authentication. Why DigitalPersona could be interesting for the enterprise? So first of all, it addresses the issue of the complex password. The passwords basically that our users are enforced to change every some period of time, which is basically a big hassle, and users are writing down the passwords, and that's completely opposite to what should be a secure approach. Besides the password problem, of course, applications may require multi-factor authentication, and this is where DigitalPersona is a solution for them. There are environments in which as well you can find situations in which the PC computers are shared across different users, and typically due to user convenience reasons or any other, users are using all the same username and password to log on to such a workstation, which disables the enterprise the ability to account those users for their work. So DigitalPersona is providing a kiosk mode that is addressing this issue, where users are basically logging in using generic account, and then they can diversify which authentication applications they can get to with their own personal identities. And those are main points that are being addressed by DigitalPersona. What are the main use cases that DigitalPersona is addressing? First of all, Windows logon. So any Windows, any operating system starting still with Windows 7, all through the servers, 2012, 16 and so forth. Single sign-on, logon to federated applications or to applications that are not federated but still are using static password credentials. And cloud mobile applications, DigitalPersona is the solution there. And the last very important use case scenario is remote access through radius. So it's a typical use case scenario where users are traveling, they need to establish a VPN channel, and here we are able to use an OTP credentials to protect this. Let's switch now to demo. So I will focus on the following main scenarios. So let's start first of all with the authentication using mobile phone. Send push notification is sent to my phone. I'm enabling it and approving it directly from locked screen. So that's one of the methods. Another method that would work here is completely offline, because this particular mobile push requires connection with the internet. However, we are able as well to log on using an ordinary one-time password. In such a case, user authenticates to the mobile application. So here you can see I have multiple accounts enrolled because I'm using that for different test purposes, demo purposes. This could be useful especially for the IT personnel, where they can have multiple accounts that they need to log on with multi-factor authentication. Here I'm using only one, which is this one, and that's my account, I'm logged in. So yet another very popular way of authenticating users in the IT environment is to use their contactless cards that they are using to open the door or pay in the vending machines. Those cards can be personalized typically as well with the photo by printers, for example, provided by HID as well. The card needs to be presented to such a contactless reader. They are also in HID offering. So the card is inserted or put on the reader. Basically it's recognized, it's indicated with the green field here, and the PIN is presented as a second factor user is logged in. In this particular scenario there is a configuration that when you remove the card from the reader, the workstation gets locked. There are cases in which as well you can just tap the card, so it's being recognized for a short moment. User enters the PIN, the card is removed, but the workstation remains logged in. And this is quite useful in the healthcare environments, where basically the doctors, nurses are carrying their cards on the leash, hanging on the neck, and when they are leaving the workstation, they just tap the card in order to lock the workstation. So now the authentication method with the contactless card without a PIN, that simply you present the card to the reader like that, and you're instantly logged into the Windows almost immediately. So this can be also configured for locking the workstation upon card removal. Yet another very popular authentication method is a fingerprint. That's easy to use, secure, and there is no way of non-repudiation. It's a fingerprint authentication, so user just is placing the fingerprint on the reader and it's constantly being recognized. The alternative for that is face recognition. So here it's there is a possibility to choose the face recognition, and the camera is scanning that in a matter of seconds. You will be logged in. So there are some authentication methods which are considered as a recovery, considered as an emergency access. So one of those is one-time access code. So that requires attention from assistance from the help desk operator. So in this case, system is generating a challenge. User needs to contact the operator. Operator basically finds the user and recover by typing this long code in the logon window. So the code is entered, we click next, and the challenge is being generated that user needs to type in back into the logon window screen. So the code is entered and we click here, and we are being introduced with the recovery mode. Either user can change their password or they can log on without changing the password. Another alternative for that doesn't require assistance from the help desk is self-service unlock. That is based on recovery questions which should have been previously enrolled by the user. But here I will use my answers that I used to enroll, and basically after answering them, we are presented with the recovery mode again. So those questions can be defined. You can customize them as well for certain user populations and so forth. So we can easily manage the solution centrally through GPO. So here you define what are the authentication methods that are enabled for a particular groups of workstations. Typically they are limited to just a few, one or two methods. Here for demo purposes we have more. Let me show you how quickly we can enable the more advanced authentication method, fingerprint with the Bluetooth device. So I will use my phone that is going to be paired with my PC computer and a fingerprint, so something you are and something you have. This needs to be, of course, propagated to the workstations. Typically, for these purposes, we will use GP update. There we will try to log on. So there is a Bluetooth icon here enabled. My phone has we need to pair it. It's already paired probably. So the iPhone is being recognized, and now I'm being automatically asked for presenting my fingerprint, and that's it. So central management again, there are some other features that allow controlling the more advanced situations, where you can enforce, for example, for the user convenience, you can keep, for example, usage of the card. Just tapping the card and log on to the system. When the system is in particular conditions connected to the network, and there is a link. However, you can enforce, for example, the usage of the contactless card and the fingerprint, or maybe a PIN, just like that. So we will have a two-factor authentication under some conditions. So this will be enforced only if, for example, computer was not used for some amount of time, if it's after reboot, or if it's a first logon to the system, if the network is not available, or if it's a VPN connection outside of the firewall, if it's a fast user switching, so the one user is switching and trying to log on to the same workstation, or if a behavioral keystroke mismatch is detected. So the way that you are typing the password can be detected. So now a few words about how DigitalPersona is enabling multi-factor authentication for web applications. So for ADFS enabled applications, you can simply install an ADFS DigitalPersona extension that will add fingerprint, one-time password, FIDO, face recognition authentication methods in the upcoming version. And the second one that I would like to demonstrate is through the identity portal. The advantage of identity portal is that it is able to provide you with all authentication methods that are supported by DigitalPersona, comparing to ADFS extension. We have a link directly to Office 365. As you can see, that's a pure Office 365 logon that I will get to. I will present my username, which is this one is already there being logged in, so we have that already pre-populated, and based on the domain it redirects me to my origin DigitalPersona identity portal, which is deployed on premise in this case. It looks in a similar way like ADFS, however the methods, authentication methods that are available is much more. So here I'm immediately being prompted for cards login. That's by default. I present the card, it's being read, and I'm getting redirected, authenticated first of all, and getting redirected to Office 365. So, well, in fact, it's an instant logon. So now let me show you another scenario. So instead of going to the business application first, user is going first to the on-premise DigitalPersona identity portal. So typically user is opening the browser, it gets directed to the DigitalPersona identity portal, where all the authentication methods can be enabled if it's needed, of course. Here the user is prompted for fingerprint. So I present my fingerprint, scan is successful, and I'm being switched to second authentication method. Let me do this mobile push in this case. So I received that on my phone, put my fingerprint, and I'm logged in. So that's a kind of a portal that gets you to the system. And to the dashboard of all the applications that are being published. So you can get to Salesforce, you can get to your VDI infrastructure, some other applications that are ADFS enabled or SAML enabled or OpenID enabled. From this portal, or Office 365 as well can be accessed. From this portal as well, directly or indirectly, you can start the administration tool. So let me show you the administration tool here. That's a good opportunity. So you see all the users that are enrolled in the system. You can get one of those users. You can recover the password. That's the scenario which I was showing to you with the challenge response workstation unlock. And of course you can enroll the credentials for the users here. So let me demonstrate quickly for example, a fingerprint. So user needs to be authenticated as well. So here you choose the fingerprint, you put it on the reader, I think a few times, and the fingerprint is enrolled. You can do the same with the other credentials, with the contactless cards, face recognition as well. This one is not enabled here, FIDO devices, and so forth. You can as well enroll the one-time password. So one-time password is enrolled through the QR code. So through the portal that I showed to you, you basically choose this credential to be enrolled, and the QR code is generated on the phone. You're scanning this QR code with your phone. The application is being activated. It generates one-time password. User types this one-time password here for validation, and the OTP mobile application is enabled. So besides protection, Windows operating system logon or federated applications, DigitalPersona can apply as well multi-factor authentication or simple password management to the applications that cannot be federated or cannot rely on Kerberos ticket reuse authentication in the Windows environment. So we have such an application, demo application here, and typically what this application does is it just shows you the username and password. That's all it does. So with DigitalPersona, so when the user starts again the application, the credentials will be automatically populated, as you can see. So you can define additional extended authentication policy, so the user would be prompted, for example, for contactless writable card to be presented upon logon to this application. So now when the user starts the application, DigitalPersona Password Manager will prompt for presenting the card, and the user can log on now with the card.